What's cracking, traders? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon GO Battle League content. Today's video, we got some battles in the Ultra League sent in by fellow trainer Alpha Club Y2K. So first of all, thank you, trainer, for sending in your battles. If you'd like to send in battles to the channel for Shoutcasting, there is a pinned comment and a link in the description that you can send in those battles. We are going to be using Shadow Tentacruel here with Poison Sting. Most people are running it with Acid. Acid is really one of the best moves in the game now because it's a Shadow Claw clone, but Poison Sting has a lot of merits as its energy generation is extremely fast. We're going to be coring it with a Virizion, which is going to be here to help deal with both Belly Bolts as well as other ground types that would do well into Tentacruel. Our third Pokemon here is going to be a Shadow Feraligatr. It's just one of the best safe switches in the entire Ultra League, being able to apply a ton of damage and pressure. And this one's on Crunch, so I'm interested to see how this energy generation on Tentacruel goes, because I genuinely have not used it yet. I've used Acid so far, so we're getting into this first game with a Virizion mirror match. Oh boy. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. And now we are going to be looking to go for a lot of energy. The opponent throws the first charge move, and yes, I do have a red jewel glued to my forehead. My children made an attempt to bedazzle me this evening, and one of them is stuck. I'll get it off later. But Sacred Sword is going to be doing some damage here in this matchup. The opponent did go for a Leaf Blade. Of course, it's doing some damage. The opponent's going for Leaf Blade, which tells me that they've probably got Stone Edge as their second charge move. So Alpha's Virizion here is in a very good spot to be able to win this matchup because the opponent can basically tank one less charge move than Alpha here, because we could live another Leaf Blade from this range, whereas the opponent cannot live the next charge move. But they're going into the Feraligatr, trying to get that swap in to try and get that farm down. But unfortunately, the opponent, quick to react, brings in their Belly Bolt, and Feraligatr is now going to pull the first shield as it stares into the belly of the bolt. That's a pun, by the way, belly of the beast. I thought about it, but then I realized people might not get it, so I had to explain it to you because I want you to laugh with my stupid jokes. Ha ha ha. Hydro Cannons are pretty much doing a whole lot of nothing at this buffed belly boltness. The boltness in his belly. He's full. And in comes Virizion looking to go for a Sacred Sword. Either way you could go here. I think maybe the Sacred Sword makes sense in case the opponent tries to go for a catch. But Leaf Blade will do more damage straight up if both of these moves are neutral. It just has a slightly higher amount of damage that it can do. But the opponent has... Of course they have a Galvantula in the back. But this one's on Fury Cutter, which means it's a much better situation for this Tentacruel. Now it's going to be looking to go for that Scald, and the opponent drops in the Virizion. And that... Oh no. It fell off! Now I don't want... Now I want to put it back on. Hold on. Hold on, I gotta put it back on. See, they glued it, and now that it finally fell off, now I just want it to stay there, because I feel like they're being part of me in this video. Anyway, we're gonna be going for some moves here. The opponent, even though they got that catch, can we catch back? That's the win con. We gotta land a Scald here. Going for the swap, and the opponent throwing the move at the exact wrong moment. That is going to take this game and go from a loss to a victory as Scald is reached on this Tentacruel, and it's going to be able to go, bye-bye, Spidey. That's going to be a good game. Well played, dude. All right. Apparently, we're not transitioning. We're getting right into the next one. Getting a fantastic lead in Belly Bolt here, and the opponent's going to swap into their Primeape. Now, Primeape can outpace here in a very huge way, but it's only able to do so with Rage Fists. And honestly, the Virizion going for this chip damage will help Tentacruel be able to handle it afterwards. I don't think that Tentacruel necessarily couldn't come into this. I believe a Scald would probably do darn near enough to be able to take out this Primeape, as Primeape is extremely glassy here, even in the Ultra League. Going for a Scald, going to be able to go right before they hit that Rage Fist. Alpha's taking very good care to make sure that he's throwing on 3 before the opponent can get to that 4th Karate Chop to get that Rage Fist off. And now we're going for a shield. The opponent has also decided to put a shield down as well. Now the opponent, however, is out of shields, and Alpha's going to be able to reach the Scald here. The opponent not at a move. They're not going to be able to get any more damage with this Primeape. It's going to go down, and in comes the Belly Bolt, looking to try to either farm down or buff itself prior to this matchup ending. Tentacruel, though, looking to do as much damage in return as it can with these Scalds. Can it get to another one? Oh, I bet it can. Oh, I bet it can. Opponent chickens out. Goes for the charge move because they don't want to have to take another Scald. And that's just the pressure that it puts on. Now, the opponent's going to come in with a Gliscor. This game looks just about as over as it can possibly get. Feraligator's going to destroy the Gliscor. Could have probably just, yeah, I probably would have just come straight in with the Gator, honestly. Opponent now has enough potentially for an Earthquake, I think. He has to make a choice. The opponent going straight for the Earthquake, but it's not enough. And Feraligator has the Hydro Cannon and is going to knock this Gliscor out of the sky. I brought the button back for those of you who missed it. The opponent's Belly Bolt's going to get a full farm down here, but Virizion is just too healthy. And it's not going to need to shield, even if it's Zap Cannon. They're going for the Parabolic Charge bait. Virizion just needs to get to a Leaf Blade and then maybe a little bit more to be able to take this matchup. But Parabolic Charge and Zap Cannon being resisted here is exactly why Virizion is such a common thing in the meta now. Next game, we got Virizion paired up against another Belly Bolt. It must be Christmas because this deer is celebrating in these good matchups. Opponent's going to drop in there, Golisopod, and Virizion's going to go for a Leaf Blade to chip down because we don't really have a good answer in the back outside of Tentacruel, and Tentacruel being on Poison Sting, this is the main issue that people will probably have in running Poison Sting over something like Acid or Poison Jab, is because now you don't have that fast move damage to be able to farm through this matchup. You have to throw energy in order to get through this Golisopod or even like opposing Gators, right? Because Tentacruel for the longest time was a very common counter switch into those two Pokemon because it walls the energy that is commonly on them. But now having to throw Scald, it could be a reason to dissuade you from wanting to run Poison Sting. I get either way. I like both. I think they both have their merits. But Scald is going to do a significant amount of damage to this Belly Bolt. Belly Bolt already at half from that Scald and the Poison Stings, and is going to be forced to shield now, and is going down to shield. Can these... Oh my goodness, please Tentacruel, please Tentacruel, no! Oh, the opponent catches the Scald on the Virizion. Very nice counting from the opponent here. And there's not really a good way to deal with this. You have to bring in your Virizion. You can't bring in the Feraligator, and that is a scary thought. Now, this opponent is probably not running Stone Edge Leaf. I'm sorry, what? Huh? Huh? I don't see anybody ever running Stone Edge on Virizion. Where are these trainers and where can I find them? Because I would love to find... like, this is a dream scenario here where your Virizion just beats the rest of the opponent's team. This is fantastic. For Alligator, who needs him? He's just sitting there with his shadowy little pom-poms on the sidelines going, yay, Virizion, you can do it. You're our dear. If you can't beat him, nobody can. But the opponent full sends the Zap Cannon and still almost fully farming down, firing off a last-second Sacred Sword to try to get the opponent to not get this charge move off. And then comes Virizion, but the double kick's going to be enough. Feraligator can live one. It's going to come down to these fast moves. Can Feraligator pull through, live a move, and get this farm down? Leaf Blade going to do a lot of damage, but absolutely this Gator is ready. The opponent doesn't have two charge moves, surely. They don't. But even still, you could come in with Tentacruel, get the Poison Sting, or go for the Shadow Claw. Either way is victory. It's going to be a good game, well played. Hammering our way into the next game. Virizion against Galarian Moltres. This is a very lopsided, like, kind of just weird matchup, right? Because you resist those sucker punches, but now the opponent has access to Fly on their Moltres, and we are going to shield that up and make sure that we don't get one shot by a Moltres with Fly. These Sacred Swords, they're valuable chip damage, but we really don't have a good answer to this on the team in general, but the opponent's going to go ahead and shield up one of those moves and look to counter swap Belly Bolt in as the Gator takes the field. We're hoping that Tentacruel is going to be able to sweep now with this Belly Bolt out of the way. Opponent being down shields as well, or at least down a shield, also puts us in a very good position to let Tentacruel find its way to some energy potentially later in the game and sweep. Virizion's going to come back in, look to get some fast moves in, going for that Sacred Sword again, going for Leaf Blade here is actually going to be the better play to do more damage unless Alpha's trying to get an undercharge here or some extra farm, in which case Sacred Sword is the way to go. But opponent going to be able to get a final Parabolic Charge off, and that extra defense isn't going to matter here as it gets double kicked down, and in comes the Galarian Moltres, but now Virizion has a little bit more energy than it had before. In two Sacred Swords, going to be able to get to two moves. The opponent not quite at the second Fly yet, or not willing to throw. Virizion looking to get that second shield, and potentially setting up Tentacruel for the sweep. Unless the opponent's got a ground type in the back, and then it's over. Virizion gets clapped by that Fly, and the opponent's got the Gastrodon! Brother, no! Alpha, buddy. I'm sorry. I was rooting for you, dude. I really was. And he shields up a body slam, dude. Oh, that is pain. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Is there a chance? Is there a chance this Tentacruel gets this knockout by 1 HP? The opponent gets to a move. It's a body slam, right? It's a body slam, right? Oh, it's a body slam. Wait a minute, trainers, we might be coming back. This might be a victory. Moltres not getting to the move. Tentacruel coming through, and I am as excited and on the edge of my seat. I did not think that was a win, dude. I know a loss when I see one. That's not a loss. Let's go. Good game. Well played, Alpha. The Fraudulent Bird takes center stage in the next game as we see Corviknight staring down this Virizion, and normally you would expect Corviknight to get just... You would expect it to just destroy a grass type, but not Virizion. Resisting those sand attacks and being able to do nothing but just neutral damage back with Sacred Sword is massive. And keeping that thing away from Tentacruel as well is very nice. Now, opponent has a Primeape in the back in the next game here, or in the mid game here, and unfortunately the Gator is just going to get outpaced here. However, Alpha making a very nice call early in the matchup to not shield a Rage Fist is going to end up putting this Gator in a really nice position to be able to force that other shield and stay ahead in this game. The opponent looking to go for that farm down, and unfortunately Gator's not going to be able to get to a move, and now Virizion came in with its bulky dearness. It's going to look to take some charge moves. Oh! Oh! Boom! Bro, that close combat was painful. I felt that right here. Tentacruel now is going to have to take down Corviknight, which maybe depends what the opponent's going to have in the back. If they have something that Tentacruel can handle in the back, there's a chance. And never mind, it's a Giratina. Looking to go for the Blizzard. How much is this going to do from a Shadow Tentacruel onto Giratina? Not quite enough. Alpha running out of gas here. This Tentacruel is starting to run out of options. Is Scald going to be enough? Looking to get the maximum amount of energy here before throwing Alpha on top of those opponent's moves counts. Scald gonna be enough here. Can Corviknight fall? No. Opponent is getting to the charge move. Maybe he was looking to make a nice catch to be able to get to that Blizzard. Opponent's going to fire off the Iron Head, expecting that catch, and Virizion accepts its fate, stops tapping, and that's going to be the game there. Well played. Nice job. The backline was honestly impossible. There's nothing he was doing about that. Next game, Golisopod in the lead. This is a better matchup now that most of them probably aren't running Aerial Ace anymore. Opponent's going to look to go on alignment. They've let the Virizion get a full free double kick through just for this X-Scissor. And the opponent looking to stay in this matchup, thinking it's a positive one, but these Leaf Blades add up very quickly, and they come out just as fast as they add up. Looking to go for a catch here on the Gator. Is it the X-Scissor? The opponent does go for the X-Scissor. They're not going to throw an Aqua Jet into that matchup. Going for the crunch here. Opponent winning CMP tie, meaning they're going to get the charge move off first. X-Scissor is going to get the shield from this Gator as the crunch is thrown. Crunch could get the other shield here or remove the Golisopod from the game. Never mind, it's not nearly going to be enough damage, but the farm down that this Gator's about to get. You're shielding here. Oh my goodness, he's not going to shield. Okay. All right, you know what? Let him cook. Let him cook. The man just pulled off an impossible victory not 2 games before. We're going to let him cook. In comes Virizion getting that farm down as the opponent weak to Virizion in the back. They are not. They have Drapion in the back. And, well, things just got really awkward here. However, the opponent is not going to be running the Drapion that is of Shadow variety. They're going to be running the normal one, so it won't be hitting as hard. But these Poison Stings, plus whatever charge move gets thrown here, most likely ends up knocking out, even if it's just a Crunch or an Aqua Tail. Well, no, Aqua Tail probably wouldn't do it. It's got to be Crunch, right? Crunch! Virizion holds on for dear life because it loves its trainer so much. Sacred Sword's going to get the shield from this Drapion. Tentacruel comes in and the game stops playing. And then suddenly there's a Guzzlord on my screen. And apparently there's also four Dragon Claws that went through. The opponent going for that Dragon Claw, or 4 Dragon Tails, I should say. Alpha, though, going for the max amount of energy that they can really realistically give before being in crunch range here. Going for the Blizzard to one-shot. The rest of that Guzzlord, the opponent knows it's over. Good game. Very nicely played. And we're getting into this next game. Virizion looking at that Galarian Moltres, and it's like, this doesn't look like Kentucky Fried Chicken to me. I'm going to stay in. This is actually not a bad matchup for Virizion as long as you are able to put your shields down, because the pacing on this deer is ridiculous. 9 turns to a charge move. It's one of the fastest in the game. 8 turns is, I believe, the absolute minimum that is currently allowable in the game to get to a charge move. Virizion is up there with the best. Gator's going to swap in, looking to catch a charge move, though. The opponent unleashing this energy goes for the fly. Not going to do a whole lot of damage, and then they're going to come in with a Steelix, non-Shadow Steelix, going for the Hydro Cannon for some massive, super effective damage on the Steelix. I said massive, it's like half. Oh, and then they're going to get, can they get to the move? No, they go down to the move. The opponent's able to get that. Oh. They're able to get the farm down, and now they can put a bunch of Psychic Fangs into this poor Virizion, which, even though one doesn't do a lot, they will start adding up over time, and honestly, will force the Virizion to shield if the opponent stays in with the Steelix to try and get more of these moves in, but Alpha says, no, my deer can handle it. I know my Virizion better than the opponent does, and locking down with 2 Sacred Swords. If the opponent shields here, they'll be wasting that shield. They know it. They're going to let it go. In comes Tinkaton. I almost forgot about this thing. Where have you been? The opponent not tapping, or they're lagging. Either way, hella unfortunate. I'm sorry, trainer. This game, someday, maybe it will work. Or they decided they just give up, and maybe they just stop tapping. That's also entirely possible. But I'm going to blame the game before I blame the player, because honestly, what game are we playing? Pokemon Go. You know it, trainers. You know it. And I will keep ragging on Scopely or Niantic or whoever it is anymore until somebody fixes it, because it needs to happen. Opponent's Galarian Moltres going for a charge move, throwing up that final Protect Shield to let the Tentacruel survive, hoping to get to this Scald to knock the opponent out, but the opponent is just letting these moves go. I think they've truly given up at this point. Either that or the lag is so horrendous. Either way, Tentacruel going for the Scald, and is going to be able to take out the Tinkaton most likely as well. Opponent going back to tapping. Apparently, Tinkaton has brought their spirits back. I'm not really sure why they wouldn't want to tap there, but going for the Sacred Sword combo here is the play. Opponent going down to this Virizion. They may have had a chance, honestly, but we'll never know. Good game either way. Virizion into Scizor. This is a really nice matchup for the Virizion if the opponent is running Trailblaze Night Slash, as most of them are. And we see the fingers go. Oh my goodness, I hate when I do that, dude. On iPhone, if you hit the bottom of the screen in just the wrong angle, the whole thing goes up, and it just, oh my god, I hate it. Now, you can use guided access. I think it's like you triple click your power wake button, and you're supposed to be able to stay in the app, but yeah. Personal preference whether you want to do that or not. But we see a Golisopod come in against this Virizion and catch a nice Sacred Sword to the face, well resisted. But the opponent's got a lot of energy. They're going to throw it into the Tentacruel here. Tentacruel is very, very happy to soak this up. Aqua Jet's not really phasing it all that much, loading up a bunch of energy and going for the first Scald here. Maybe looking for a debuff, but this damage is necessary. Honestly, do you shield and try to farm down here? What's the play? I would love to see Alpha's going for the shield. Maybe a cheeky farm down. No, the opponent looking to try to make a play for both shields here. And Alpha says, I'm going to save this thing. I'm going to be going for the Scald. Scald is going to do a lot of damage to the Scizor. And they let it go. That's going to leave it. It's down. Kingdra comes in, going for a last-second Scald, because we can't switch out of this matchup, unfortunately. The opponent, if they know this is just a Scald, will not shield. They don't. Very nice awareness by them, but they will have to shield, potentially, this Leaf Blade, which would do a significant amount of damage to Shadow Kingdra, and the opponent has to throw before they can get far. They can't farm down. The Virizion's going to get to a move, which means now Gator, after having taken that outrage, by the way, oh my goodness, the damage that would have done, that poor Virizion. Gator's going to come in and is expecting for the opponent to make the switch, and they do. Golisopod getting farmed down, and the Gator has a crunch and a half loaded, ready for this poor Kingdra that dared to cross its path today, and Gator's getting this KO. Well played. Good game. Love the Kingdra spice, by the way. Such a fun Pokemon to play in any league, honestly. And we see another Moltres. They are everywhere. And Virizion is happy to see it here. It's honestly better here than against the Feraligatr, which really does not appreciate seeing it, given that it doesn't have Ice Beam. Going for the Sacred Swords here, we've seen Alpha play this out pretty much the same way in most cases, going for a bunch of energy and then unleashing the Sacred Swords in quick succession. The opponent, however, they're not playing with Fly. They are full setting that Brave Bird. They may still be on the old moveset, Virizion firing off a Leaf Blade and then looking to maybe catch a move. No, continuing to go and get energy here. Leaf Blade will threaten a knockout. Close combat, however. Oh, we're playing light. We're living life on the edge right now. Virizion, happy enough. Going for a Leaf Blade, getting this shield, and the opponent close combated earlier and is now going to be forced to send Rage Fist or a resisted close combat in here. They're going to go for the close combat to try and limit the amount of farm or just get out of this matchup, but unfortunately, the energy lead that Tentacruel has and now knowledge that the opponent is on Brave Bird here instead of Fly means that we're in a really good spot, and the opponent just lets it go, realizes the game's over. They must not have liked that Tentacruel in the back. Good game. Virizion into Shadow Nidoqueen with Poison Sting here. Now, opponent is going to be able to outpace that Poison Fang. I'm surprised they didn't throw it into the Gator here. Could have been an easy shield or a significant amount of chip damage, enough to let this Feraligatr potentially farm down or come in with a shield advantage. But the opponent's Feraligatr deciding to come in and take that Shadow Hydro Cannon now puts it in range where they're also behind a bit here. And they're not going to be able to catch up. Going for the no shield here. This Gator taking the Hydro Cannon like a champ, being able to get to the next one, but the opponent has a higher attack stat and is going to be able to win charge attack priority, unfortunately. But now this sets up a really nice farm for Virizion, which would love to have a bunch of Leaf Blades to throw into that Nidoqueen before it can start unleashing those Poison Fangs. Poison Sting helps Nidoqueen immensely. I feel like there's a good enough amount of Pokemon in the meta that Nidoqueen can do well against, but unfortunately there's also just as many things like Gastrodon and just, you know, Feraligatr, I guess, kind of works. But the nice thing here is that Nidoqueen goes for a charge move, and I mean, it has Earth Power. And this is fine, which means it probably has Stone Edge. The opponent might be getting on the saucier side and trying to run the double move set where they're having nukes. They're not running Poison Fang, which, in my opinion, I think you just run Poison Fang, Earth Power, honestly. But Rage Fist, going to be doing some chip damage here. The opponent's going to have to shield in order to keep this thing alive, and then they have a Nidoqueen in the back that is not going to appreciate taking Scald and has already just thrown an Earth Power. Can we get to the Scald, get the shield? Opponent going for a charge move. Alpha, are you calling the Stone Edge bait? That is a full sent Earth Power. And that's going to do a lot of damage. Now Virizion is in a tough spot here, looking to go for this Leaf Blade. Can it get to 2 before the opponent can get to 2 charge moves or farm down? And yes, it can. Leaf Blade has reached. Virizion is going for the knockout shot against this Nidoqueen. Well played. Good energy management in these games. Very nice. It's nice to see. Just some crazy plays, crazy games. That was a lot of fun. Tentacruel is usually one of the most boring Pokemon to see in the Ultra League, but I think these games did it some justice here, kind of really showing off its improved ability to get to these charge moves, and sometimes that's what you need is energy rather than fast move damage. But let me know what you think in the comments, if you prefer to use Poison Sting or Acid on your Tentacruel, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you as always for watching. Bye-bye.